explain them, the validation is not that complicated as we think if we follow the simple process and protocols. Validation here can be a team process. It can be your RTO assessor who didn't directly assess that particular cohort. It can be external people. You can also involve a compliance person. Hello everyone, my name is Ben Thakkar. I'm a CEO and a senior consultant of Vet Resources. Today we're going to talk about how can we make validation an easy process. What we have seen based on experience and talking to different RTOs and executive and people, we find that pretty much almost all the RTOs struggle with the validation or meeting the validation requirement. So I thought to prepare this video just to explain them the validation is not that complicated as we think if we follow the simple process and protocols. So based on that's what we train our clients with it. The number one point, understanding what is the requirement of the validation. Because if we don't know what is required for the validation, it's like we're going in a wrong direction. If our direction has to be right. So first thing is we should know what the validation requirement according to SRTOs 2015. The validation, as I said, it's a quality process that we need to make sure that all the evidence or student assessments are according to the principle of assessment rules of evidence. Who can conduct the validation? So validation here can be a team process. It can be your RTO assessor who didn't directly assess that particular cohort. It can be external people. You can also involve a compliance person or somebody who from the admin as well. So it's kind of a collective process. We need to make sure that whoever part of the validation, they meet the requirement of advocation competency, industry currency, TAE, all those parts just to be as a valid. The other thing is we also need to make sure that we have the validation plan for 5-year validation plan, which is according to SRTOs 2015, the validation requirement. And we must complete the 50% validation in first 3 years. So make sure your validation plan is aligned. So now once we know all those information, then we're able to go to the next step. And we will put the links of ASQA information in there as well. The second step is we have a proper framework ready. So that includes the validation form, our validation policy, and the 5-year validation plan. And 5-year validation plan needs to be done properly. Who's gonna do it, when it's gonna be, which training product or which unit we're gonna look for, what are the documentation. If you do RPL, you need to include the RPL in the validation and who's gonna lead that. And you also need to make sure there's a risk indicator, if it's a high risk, low risk. That can be defined by the industry, that can be defined by ASQA, that can be defined by the RTO as well. So that needs to be done. So once you have all this framework ready, we are heading toward the right direction. Then after, we need to schedule the time. So according to the plan that we have created, we schedule the time in the calendar, we notify relevant people. Usually based on my experience, term breaks, Christmas breaks are usually the best time to do the validation type of work. That's where your trainer and team is not that busy and occupied because the students are on the term break. And that's where you need to notify all those people in advance, send them relevant documents to be reviewed. And then next step is you also, whoever is a lead for that validation, make sure that you collect the student data who completed in last 6 months. Then you put it into randomizer, and then whatever the student sample that you need to collect, you notify the admin that I need this particular student assessment for this unit and so on and on. So make sure you're ready and prepare for all those documents. And then this comes to the actual validation day. So that's where whoever the team that you have aligned, they're gonna go through the documents. So they will go through the mapping document, the assessment part, the actual student evidence, and identify that, okay, oh, this question did not mark properly, this question is not clear, and so on, and find all this information, complete the form that is a record requirement, and identify what are the areas of improvement, and that can goes to your continuous improvement, that we find out this is concerned, this that needs to improve, and who is a responsible person, and how we go from there. And then it comes to the retaining the evidence. So what are the evidence that you need to retain? The validation form that you have completed, what are the student statistical sample that you have, the sample size, and the student evidence that you have considered during that validation. They all need to keep as part of the validation documentation. So is there in the audit time, if auditor asks you validation document, you have all those documents ready. If you have any question, feel free to put it into comments. If you like this video, please share it with other people.